I always stick to the best way that you can get it to heal is a hands-off approach, as much as possible.
What do you mean, hands-off approach?
People love to touch piercings. A lot of times, I haven't cleaned their hands. That is bacteria you're going to bring straight away up. I've had people, like, right after I've pierced them, they've walked over to the mirror and they straight away are like, Love it. I love it. They're beautiful. And you're like,
what advice would you give to someone considering their very first piercing?
Make sure that to do a bit of research on what way you want it to look when it does come out, so that you're going into the studio knowing what you want.
Yeah. Well, what about the
what they're getting?
Current trends in the industry? Do piercings go in trends?
You can tend to find trend for certain piercing. Times where like dermals were.
Okay, well, welcome back, guys, to another episode of the AMAVI podcast, where today we have Connor. Say hello.
Hello there.
Connor is our amazing piercer, one of the best I've ever seen, and we're very, very glad to have him. Very lucky to have him.
Honored to be here.
So, if you want to just tell us a little about how you got into the industry.
I had kind of always kind of been into piercings back even when I was younger, even like it was started getting into like secondary school and stuff like that. I had always friends that had a few. Now my parents didn't exactly get me like, ear piercings when I was younger or anything like that. So as soon as I got into secondary school and I got kind of metalheady kind of sect of it.
Oh yeah, that's where you were reborn.
Yeah. So I instantly got into piercings, and all my friends kind of ended up having them and stuff. Mainly all the girls end up having a lot more like lip piercings and stuff already. So back then, stupidly, I'd even tried doing a few piercings myself with
lovely
like, and all that jazz. Been through that, done it. Obviously did not take and had to take some of them out, so that didn't go quite as planned.
Disclaimer, don't do this at home. Leave it to the professionals.
Honestly, the amount of people I get coming in even now and they've told me they pierced their ear with a sewing needle, and I've had to correct it because their mum found out they pierced it with a sewing needle and it just went horribly wrong.
Wow.
So don't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had tried a few just like ear piercings and stuff like that, but ended up having to take them out because I ended up with like piercing bumps.
Oh dear.
Not go well, because would not heal. So ended up, it was about a few when I was maybe 15, 16, that I had a friend a few years older than me, but around the same circles, and he was actually apprentice doing a few piercings up there.
Cool.
So he ended up, now, not exactly great again here, but this is back a while ago, and he ended up doing a few piercings while we were at like parties and stuff like that.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was the hardcore stage of the industry.
Well, he did actually use like the wipes and shit like that, clean the area down, and had all tools and shit. Now, it obviously still was in a setting of a fucking party, like, so.
Yeah.
But he did it quite like professionally and everything like that, and I was interested then by the techniques used and just how he'd done it and stuff, which then kind of led me down a route of kind of looking into more online and stuff. Yeah. So I looked up how to do piercings online, which then I'd done a few friends and family. Now, they all turned out okay, but I did follow kind of, the more guidelines of actually doing it then.
Yeah.
So I still was kind of doing it like the way it's supposed to be done. This is before I kind of knew
exactly how to
do things, and also the kind of legalities around things of, having to technically be in a building and that, and environmental health and all that. But I did follow the guidelines that I had hooked up and stuff and everything. So I was following downs, sterile equipment and stuff like that. Even just using lamps that you just threw away after one use. So,
well, suppose like back then you didn't really have all that much information about piercings. It was a traditional way forward of doing the piercing apprenticeship.
Yeah.
But even then, back then, you probably would have never even found one.
I didn't even really think of it as a career, to be honest. I didn't. Like at this stage, I was like, 16, 17, and I didn't really know, the whole ins and outs of the actual industry. I just knew I wanted to pierce. And I was interested in it, and it's fun, and the creativity and the self-expression of it all was just interesting to me.
Yeah, so, and like back then, it's like, where would you even start? There was not a whole lot of information about that online or anything, like, so, So
I had learned a bit through even that fella there doing a few, and obviously he was, learning himself, but in more the actual editions.
Yeah.
So was again then fast forward a few years, I had done still a few on friends and family throughout those.
Yeah, years. It was still in the background.
Yeah, it's still just something that kind of sat there. Kind of dormant, but in use.
Yeah.
But so I had still a good bit of experience on multiple piercings and all, and they all had turned out great and healed well and stuff like that. So I had learnt all that in the past, which then led me up to kind of
where we are now. When we started advertising,
not really. No, there was a wee bit even where I had it kind of went in and kind of shadowed my mate then in a wee bit down the line, but that was about maybe 6 years later where I kind of got into kind of talking to him a bit more and kind of just hung around him a bit more. And again, just being there and having the crack in that kind of setting, you were able to I was watching over things being done again and seeing a bit more of the techniques in person rather than just go on YouTube, stuff like that. You still get a bit then more information and stuff to use yourself. Then we fast forward to use putting up the ad. Now I'm sitting working in a pizza place. My head's wrecked, and I just seen the post up, and I just decided to send a message.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
Correct. Yeah, because I was already working up there, and I was reaching the end of my tether up there, and I just
you were on thin ice.
Not even like it was a good place to work. Like it was fun, but doing nights and stuff, you just trained. I mean, like, kids and everything. So I'm up early and then working to 3 a.m. and then up at 6, 7 a.m. Not sustainable, and I've done that for 5 years.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that's tough going.
So that's when I was sort of like, I need to slow the pace on this to change.
Carmen was starting to take a step back, and just for all you viewers out there, Carmen was our other piercer that we had, but she did want to take a bit of a step back from it, only do part-time, and that's where
I come in and shadowed her for
for a few months, and we've done a course with you as well.
So basically a course that I used it as a way to kind of just brush up on everything, and it's just had a bit more of gave a bit more kind of
clarity, more structure. Yeah. But it wasn't anything you didn't read.
I already knew everything. Like I was able to basically breeze through that whole course. Like it was handy enough for me to kind of just. I kind of was just break the ice off, and the way I went. So it just jumped me straight to where I needed to be. To take that.
Would you say you would have started piercing professionally much sooner, if you had the resources and the kind of the education back then?
This is where I find it funny. You hear all sorts of back and forth about courses and stuff like that, and it's kind of wild when you look at it that people are gatekeeping people joining the community. And yes, it's designed as like a crash course, but it does go in depth to
everything
get you what you need. And they are always there in the background if you need any more help. So you can always go back and find out anything you need to know if you need it. Now, lucky enough, again, I never had to because I kind of already knew things in the background already. And so that literally just was enough to break the ice off me and get me on the go. It was good to have the experience even of the course.
Well, it's I've talked.
It would be a lot harder for other people. Sorry for over. It would be a lot harder for someone brand new to piercing, doesn't have a clue about anything, and that's their first step. It's going to be kind of hard for them to get that initial grasp of things, but it is still a great stepping stone at getting you into
the industry.
Just even if it is just that first step, sometimes that's all someone.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I did talk about, like the differences between, apprenticeships and courses in the tattoo training.
Yeah.
And we'll probably have another episode of this, talking specifically about the piercing training.
Yeah,
But we
yeah.
might even touch on this, in this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
But like doing the courses, it kind of gives you everything more structured rather than apprenticeships. Just to put it lightly.
Yeah.
Whereas the apprenticeships, you kind of, you're there to figure out for yourself almost.
That's what I was literally going to say.
Yourself.
Yeah. When I done even a bit of shadowing, it was more a case of do a bit of cleanup here, and
And you ask the questions to learn.
Yeah. It did. While yes, you were there and you were able to shadow and you were able to look over someone's shoulder and kind of get an idea of what's going on, you still felt a bit out of the loop in getting the information. It was spread over a longer period, whereas the course does condense that, but it gets you to the point of being able to experience it.
It tells you the questions that you need to be asking rather than trying to figure out for yourself. Because if you don't know what questions to ask, how are you meant to know?
Exactly. It puts it in a format that you can digest.
Yeah.
And retain.
Yeah.
Because it's like you say, the questions that needed to be asked.
Yeah.
So it was good in that.
Yeah, well, let's move on to some of the other questions. What advice would you give to someone considering their very first piercing?
Make sure that to do a bit of research on what way you want it to look when it does come out, so that you're going into the studio knowing what you want.
Yeah. As
much as I can guide you to find out what you want, mark off a few dots that you can kind of pick between when I mark out, like, say, a helix, how high it's going to be, or, even what they're going to put in it. Is that they planning to change to a ring? That gives me an idea of where I need to place it. If they already know what they want when they're coming in, it makes it a smoother experience. Again, they're leaving with something they know they want.
Yeah.
Exactly the way they want it.
So basically have already the final product image in your head before approaching the piercer.
Even coming in with a picture that is the idea of what they want, or even asking me in messages for ideas.
Yeah.
I can always guide. I can send pictures back to them,
And are you able to help them figure that out? Say if they actually have no clue on how they want it.
I've had people come in and they've got maybe one or two piercings, like even a lobe and a helix or whatever, and they've come in just kind of looking a bit of creative advice on what they want next. They don't even kind of know what they want next, but I'm able to show them either the diagrams we have around the shop, or just basically show them what is available. They even maybe don't want it looking too cluttered, so you're kind of then that artistic expression to design what's not going to look too cluttered, but will overall look nice on the rear. So I've had a load of people come in that don't really know what they're going for, but they know they just want something to kind of fill the rear out, make it look where they want it.
Yeah.
But it's literally trying to bring that out of them.
And what about, say, preparing get pierced? What sort of steps should they kind of follow?
Right. Well, make sure you've ate before.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Ate and even had a drink with you or something, just to basically keep your energy levels up.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people that come and haven't ate, and there's people come in and they know they're already kind of faint around needles and stuff like that, and they haven't eaten. They're waiting for a bad time to happen there. And that's the last thing I want for them, is to have a bad experience.
Yeah.
Just over something as simple as just have a quick bite to eat.
Yeah.
To give you the energy levels to. It is that little shocked jar of a needle that can just shock someone, and if they haven't eaten or they don't have that kind of the sugar levels or something, it can
just hit the shutdown button.
Yeah. I've had people who come in and they're covered in piercings, not a problem to them, and they've come in, got something like a second or lobe, and it was enough to jolt them that they had, you could see the color go out of them, and they just weren't ready for it. But it was simply a case of after I'd kind of, got them round again. I was like, did you make sure that you had some? Like, I forgot. I was in a rush before I came in. Like,
I was like, I'm on a diet.
but again, that's, especially if someone's dieting as well, they're lower on energy. So it can, lead them to be that bit fainter.
And is there anything else that the person should be, or like the customer should be doing in preparation for their piercing, other than just think of the final image and get a bit of food before coming in? That's pretty much the height of it, is it?
That is the base ground of what you're gonna want. So you know what you want. You've prepared physically for it to happen, and yes, mentally as well. You know where you're going to the studio to get pierced. Like,
There are like little other things, like avoid caffeine.
Yeah, but, caffeine. Make sure you obviously haven't taken substances.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. But that's why we have the
thinners as well. Would be just one, just to avoid
medication.
Yeah. So you just double check that, especially even people who are even diabetic. Make sure they definitely have and they're sure that they've what they're doing.
But that's why we have the pre-appointment advice. That we send pretty much to every single customer. But so if we get a walk-in, it's kind of like the whole kind of 21 questions game, with it.
But once they've even filled out your consent form and stuff that has the medical questionnaire, you're able to lead up with the follow-up question if they have marked that yes, they are taking any medications, yes, they are diabetic, anything like that. You're able to deal with
right there and then.
Right there and then, and you can talk to them to make sure they're aware of like if they are diabetic, that they're ready for piercing.
Well, what about like the pain levels of different sort of piercings then?
It kind of varies, right? A, person to person, and B, person to person.
Okay. Well, let's start from piercing to piercing.
Piercing to piercing, like
like on average.
Yeah, lobes and stuff like that. It's softer tissue. They tend to be a bit less painful than like cartilage piercings. Obviously, cartilage piercings, you're going through that harder tissue. It just can be that wee bit nippier. Even things like stuff like that is a thicker section through, and it's a wee bit longer of a process trying to even get the juice and stuff. So even that wee bit of a longer process, even though it's not that much longer, can feel a lot longer in the seat.
Oh yeah.
So things like that are something to consider. But again, that you are talking. I always class lobes in around like 3-4 out of 10 type thing.
Yeah.
Cartilage ones tend to be maybe up 5-6.
What about dermals? Like microdermals?
Yeah. Like there's a lot of pressure when you're squeezing the skin to get a grip of the skin if you're using the biopsy punch and stuff for actually placing the dermal. And a lot of people have said that they still aren't like they're classed it in around like getting a helix and stuff like that. Although it's a different type of pain, but it's still similar in terms of what they felt pain-wise.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of my anecdotal evidence on, sort of pain of dermals and stuff like that. That it is, a lot of people have said, like, even the pinch was enough to kind of, that was like a sore part of it. And it was more of a dull nip for the actual dermal punch. So,
yeah.
You're able to take a decent pinch on your skin, you're able to go through a dermal not too bad.
You can pretty much get it anywhere, really. Anywhere with stretchy skin.
Anywhere you can get a grip. Now, I would always give a disclaimer, basically, that, if you are getting arm ones, stuff like that, they are likely to get cold.
Oh, yeah. Putting a t-shirt on, for example.
I can get it as snug to the flesh, as you can. It's like so that it's not hanging out or anything like that. But it still is in an area that just has a lot of activity.
Oh, yeah.
So, you brush your arm off, you're doing anything. People end up getting the ones on the wrist and stuff like that. You're right in an area that you're washing your hands. There's going to be, constantly getting wet and stuff like that. So you would take that in consideration that may have higher chance of like getting bacteria in there. Even people have got them incorporated into tattoos, stuff like that. So like someone had a rose and they got a red dermal in the central point. And again, while you're able to get it snug to the flesh, you don't know if that's going to get in, knock. And it could be a week, it could be a year down the line. So they are something to consider where you're getting it. So some places definitely I've seen last a lot longer. Even like we face one like yourself.
Mm.
People have had them for years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you've had that one.
I've got mine caught on everything.
Well, it's still actually stayed. It's stayed really well though. Is yours a skin diver or an actual anchor dermal? Sure.
Yes.
Did it have a circle disc at the back or the actual plate?
Oh, I think it's the plate.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
There's different types of anchors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get like skin diver ones that literally just kind of just pop in, whereas then you've heard ones that have a bit more, I'd say, longevity to their.
I do remember getting a big black eye from it. That lasted weeks.
A lot of things that you're getting done around your eyes can lead to a bit of bruising.
And why is that?
Things like dermals and stuff like that. When you're pressing the skin, even that pressure is enough just to cause bruising.
Wow.
And then just generally in that area, that softer tissue.
Are there any like restrictions, regarding piercings, and like why would there be?
Yeah. Now there would be the legal limits, which would be things like your genital piercings and nipple ones and stuff like that have to be 18 plus.
Yeah.
Of
course.
They are ones that are definitely there's no
questions about it.
Yeah, of course. That is what has to be done. Now, going below then 18, at 16, that is when a person can then consent for themselves to get a piercing.
Yeah, so when you're over 18, you're more responsible if you're pierced.
You're more likely.
That
is the genuine sort of thing. You are more likely. You're 16 or even below that or whatever. While you think, oh yes, I'm gonna be able to take care of this. Some people don't follow their instructions, even though it's been told to them. They've had digital forms, so it's all the information gave to them. Sometimes people don't follow them, and you are that bit young of that. At least if you have a parent over as well, they are more likely. Yeah. They're more inclined to try and help you out with your cleaning and keeping you on cleaning them.
Yeah, just keep you right, basically. Yeah.
Like, if you have someone else just looking over you, to basically say, to put on your aftercare spray today. Very easy to forget. I forgot. Even over 18, I've forgot to do aftercare on some piercings. It can lead to problems.
And we do have the age restriction on the price list on the website, don't we? Just so when people are booking in.
If they're booking in, they know kind of what to.
Yeah, it's like you have to be this age to be able to get this, and with parental consent as well. Yeah.
So it all the information is there, and it is just something I like to stick to. I know other piercers have different kind of limits for different piercings and stuff. I tend to keep face piercings like lips and bridges and stuff like that, all for kind of up at 18. Now, you will get some people they're over 16, but they have also got their parent to come in and basically say that they are consenting that their child at 17 or whatever could get like a lip piercing.
Well, what about
what they're getting?
Current trends in the industry? Like do piercers go on trends?
You can tend to find like a trend for certain piercing. There's times where like dermals were
huge.
Constant. Yeah, getting loads of them. You'd end up getting a load of people. Like I ended up getting like 4 in 1 week, and you're like,
do you find that it's like, just like a TikTok trend takes off, and then everyone's just all of a sudden, booking in for that specific person?
Yeah. Like it just comes in like a wave sometimes, and you sort of like sit there and go, "What happened this?" So again, you will notice you'll get a random influx of different ones, at different times. You'll end up getting the start of summer and stuff like that. Belly buttons, that does happen and comes in. Trends, whether it's to do with the time of year, trends again, like you said, TikTok trends and stuff like that. You will find people who commit thought on, on TikTok, something that was shared and like it.
A lot of people ask, how should you look after a piercing? Because I know, like, especially for tattooing perspectives, like there's lots of different ways of looking after a tattoo. But what about piercings?
Piercings, I always stick to the best way that you can get it to heal is a hands-off approach. Is going to lead to the best healing possible.
Yeah, we've had people in the past that are like, oh, I want this like a specific piercing, and it's all spiky, difficult to clean around, very small. So if there's excess, it's just going to stuck, cause more problems.
Now I've had people come in and they've got pierced somewhere else.
Yeah,
and they've come in because they've got pierced with like an actual dangly sort of piece in their upper helix, like they were trying to go for a hidden helix or something, but they were actually pierced with the finished jewellery that they want in it.
And that causes problems.
It had a 6mm bar on it. There was no room for any swelling at all. The back of the actual jewellery was pressed right against the skin. There was a piercing bump. It just was not going well.
The amount of times we have to like explain that to people as well, that it's like you're safer,
An initial stud, or depending on what you're getting, like if you're getting a date or a septum, it will be a horse.
I find that people are like coming in as well, and they're asking, it's like, oh, do you pierce with a hoop?
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's like we have to explain to them every single time. You can't do that, or else it'll cause problems.
It's been done in the past. I have pierced with rings in the past.
Right. Okay.
I've had experience doing it, but I've had people come back to me and say, "I've got a piercing bump. This is not what's not going well."
Yeah.
And that's back when I was doing my initial learning and whatnot. Like this back before being here and stuff.
Before you knew why that was a problem.
Exactly. Online, you're sitting watching piercers from America, and they're all doing all these things, and they're piercing with rings, and they're piercing with all this, and now it's gradually over time you're starting to see
more
the whole industry has took turns and realized no, the rings are not great for healing.
Yeah, of course.
A straight standard flat back Brett bar, the best way for most piercings to heal, apart from for eighth and like your septum and stuff like that. They're the only ones that are really going to be pierced with your kind of semicircle, circular barbells. So you will get that. Even Smileys is supposed to have the barbells But again, most other ones, they're all pierced with the flat back Lebrett's best heat.
Yeah, and well, when you said like like no touch, kind of method, do you just recommend not doing anything with the piercing?
No, right. You're right. While yes, there is a hands-off approach and leave it to its own devices as possible, you will use. Now, I would always advise using the piercing aftercare sprays.
Like the
saline sprays, yeah. Now, there's all sorts of ones. You get Neil Med, you can get that.
Shout out.
There's that, the one we're using there, Pierce Med.
We
do use them as well. And I like their black edition.
Neil Med. Update your
comes in a box and all. Each one comes in an individual sealed box. It just looks
smarter
so much. Honestly, like I love the Neil Med ones. They were great, and obviously they did their job. Just for a bit of class,
I think Pierce Med looks better and is cheaper.
Yeah, it actually did turn out a bit cheaper, and we were able to even do the subscription thing that.
Every month.
Every month they send out 2 boxes or whatever, and you get discount for being on the subscription.
Excellent.
So I'm going through them anyway. I was running out, so I have to even up to 2 boxes.
That's awesome.
So,
well, what about the wee aftercare packs that we did? If you want to tell them a little more about
that. You'll always end up coming, and people end up saying that they don't need the aftercare spray like the Pierce Med or Neil Med. So you'll always get people that say they don't need.
Or they prefer.
They'll prefer to even use like that pink Himalayan salt, and they'll use cool boiled water or distilled water. And then they're saying they're mixing up their own. We do have supplies, for making your own, selling things. We do have bottles, that obviously are spray bottles, and to keep that hands-off approach. It just allows a distance between anything that has bacteria and the piercing.
Yeah.
So you are doing as much to minimize that risk of bacteria coming in back with the area as much as possible.
And you do get a few extra wee things in the aftercare pack now,
Yes, I know. So yeah, and that was a couple of wee sweeties in there and everything.
Stickers.
Yeah, with stickers. There's even stamps on, your
loyalty
rewards,
card.
yeah, loyalty cards and all. So
And
there is,
more important, plasters as well
yeah,
for
there is,
labels and
yeah. So yeah, but again, back to just the kind of no touch approach.
You're still cleaning
literally,
it.
yeah, you are, no touching, but using your aftercare solution. So with the Pierce Med one is very case spray the front, back, leave it to air dry, and dry away just the excess that's dripping off your ear. But
just around it. Yeah.
For the most part, leave the part that's around the actual piercing.
Same with tattooing.
And
like literally just leave it to dry.
Keep the area sterile and let the piercing. Any wee crusties form on the piercing, try and leave them alone.
That's your body just
That's your body's natural response. It's like a wee scab on a cut.
Yeah.
You keep picking a scab off a cut, you're just gonna keep having a cut because
yeah.
Same with a piercing. A lot of times people come in, they've had old advice, do you twist them?
Oh yeah, I remember hearing that.
No, don't twist them. Don't touch the area. All you're doing is bringing bacteria to the area, and you're even reopening a wound in the area. Hopefully. So again, leave the wee scabs alone. Now, what you can't do is after a few weeks, if they are still there, and you can, after a shower, soak a wee Q-tip, just cotton bud on a stick thing, but you soak that in after a shower, and just lightly in the area, very gently, and it does come off naturally. Happy days. And it doesn't, still just obviously healing, or just leave it to kind of naturally go through the process of healing. It isn't even like a tattoo. Think about it. You're trying to heal a foreign object inside your skin. The tunnel around, make a tunnel around it. You're trying to get that to heal on the inside and everything. It is a bit different to.
Of course, yeah. And how many times a day should you clean it? And for how long?
Yeah, so I'd say about 2 or 3 times a day is the best kind of approach. Yeah. Some sort of morning, noon, and keep. So that would be kind of the schedule that most people would stick to, and you would try and keep that up. Would keep it up basically until you are confident that it's not in the area, it is settling down, and always come in and
get us to have a look at it.
Have a look at it. I don't mind. People coming back and coming in for just a bit of advice.
Yeah, of course.
Even if it's healing fine.
It's always good to see our customers coming back and saying hello anyway,
People I have coming back and, they're just like, oh, this one's going great, you haven't had any issues with it and whatnot. Yeah, they might even be back in just to downsize it because they find it's getting caught. Yeah. But they've had it in for, say 3 months or something like that. And they've come back in, they still have the initial jewellery in. But they just, they're okay just keeping it as a stud because they know it's not fully healed. But they're happy enough just to downsize it to like, whatever, just, their lobe to allow it to not just be hanging out just as much. And it saves even when they're lying down then the bar getting twisted.
No, we've had quite a few people just calling in for even a wee coffee, just talking about their, piercings.
Oh, yeah.
Even other services, like getting a laser done, and just talking to our barista about it, and it's always great to see. But our viewers can find all the information they need about healing piercing on our link tree anyway, and even the wee video as well. So
yes, yeah.
Good stuff. Well, what's a typical healing time then for different piercings?
Yeah, this is one that varies a lot between just the different types of piercings. Lobe ones again are something that does heal up pretty, they can heal up pretty quick. You'd be talking kind of anything from kind of weeks to be, up to even 12 weeks just of healing time. Now, again, varies person to person, how they're taking care of it and everything like that.
It's your immune system, isn't it?
Yeah. Your immune system is trying to fight a foreign object. Depending on how your body is reacting to that, or even indeed how your body's already dealing and you're already sick, you've got a cold like that. Body's already fighting something. So
you're putting more pressure on it.
Putting more pressure on your body to try and heal. And I'll already put a kind of cap on the amount of piercings you get in one session, or I would even stretch it as far as to say that are healing. So I wouldn't want someone coming in and getting 3 piercings, and then the next week are like, oh, I want to get 3 more in the other ear, or whatever. I'd be like, but no, The other ones are still in the middle of healing. Last thing I want is to start rejecting because you've now put more strain on your body to try and heal more objects inside your skin.
It's like your body's going to hit the eject button on all of them.
No, I've had people come in and they've got, say, 5 piercings in both of their ears and come in and like, this is, they could pierce somewhere else or whatever, and they come in and they're like, oh, mine, they're all flaring up. I've even had, my lobe one that I've had for years is even flaring up now, and they've literally just put too much strain on their body to deal with it, and body is now just basically rejecting what you've done to it.
Like, can rejections just happen normally as well?
Yes, and like some people's body may reject a piercing. You're gonna have to.
It's heartbreaking, man.
I know.
I used to have a wee sideburn piercing.
Yeah.
I loved it. I wish I still had it, but it just kept pushing out and out, and it was just hanging by a thin thread.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like,
can I ask, was it pierced with a curved barbell or a staple?
I can't even remember at this stage, to be honest.
A lot of times, some people have pierced things like that. So, like the surface tragus one, they've pierced it with curved barbells, and they just don't stick as well as a staple.
They're more likely to move, aren't they?
They're more likely to move, but it's just the shape of them. It's not designed in a way that your body is going to want that in there.
It creates like a wee bit of a gap in the hole where like it
even
goes out, doesn't it?
Even the depth of the curve bit press against the harder parts on that can cause a bit of pressure pushing. It's almost like if someone had a bit of an outie belly button and have come in and had a belly button done, but the bottom gem pressing against that part of the skin. That's going to push jewellery outward. It's going to gradually, over time, could push that piercing.
It could be, like, rejection could be down to, you know, how the piercing was pierced, the jewellery you use, and also down to the client's body, and it just sometimes thinks like,
it is a varied response. Like, there is so many factors that do lead to rejection, and it is something you to be able to find out on piercings done,
so it's not necessarily down to the piercer or how it was pierced.
It can, if it's done wrong. If the piercing's done wrong and it's not deep enough in the, if you get a tragus and it's pierced right out at the edge.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
done wrong. It's not gonna stay.
Yeah.
But
you'd be able to see how it was pierced wrong. You know.
Yeah.
Easy
enough. Yeah. Like if it's at the wrong angle or it's through the skin, there's only like the tiniest bit of skin. Actually, times I've had people come in and they've already got their rook pierced, and you can near see the bar through the skin, like the part that's actually covering the bar. You can just see from the pressure of that bar against the skin there. You're so thin, and
what about like piercing bumps and like keloids and stuff? You know, you hear people getting them.
Piercing bumps are more common than there's
and what's the difference?
A piercing bump is more of like a sort of mini abscess in the area, just where there's been pressure. Like again, for some people left wrong, or it's been pierced at the wrong angle. And it's just caused pressure in the area to irritate and not allow the piercing to heal properly, and that can cause something like.
So it's basically like a I forget. I was going to say something. I forgot.
Blister.
Yeah, like a blister. Yeah.
So it is like a wee blister. So piercing bumps are easier to deal with.
Yeah.
At least you can deal with them. They will go away if you catch them or they get worse.
But what do you mean catch them? Like, what are you meant to do whenever you discover you have one?
Right. Depending on what stage of healing you're at. Like, if you have had it for a little while and, it's been healing a while, but then it gained a piercing bump due to either they haven't switched, or they haven't downsized, or not. Now, if it's been pierced wrong at the wrong angle, it's a case of it's going to have to be taken.
Yeah.
And a wrong angle piercing, more than likely, not going to.
Yeah.
At all, no matter what you try.
What about if you've stepped on it wrong? If you just clean it and just avoid any...
Yes, that's what I was. Yeah, if you go back to basically like initial aftercare kind of, in response that there is a piercing bump thing, by all means, call in to me or call into a piercer and get a bit of advice or get them to look at it. check it over, make sure it's help you.
And then just change
But-
your routine. Like say,
Yes.
if you're like take your piercing out when you go to sleep,
Yeah.
put it back in
no,
the morning.
No. Take the piercing out.
Oh, okay.
You're taking the piercing in and out, you're going to cause irritation in the ear.
Oh, okay.
So you're best leaving it in, just making sure that the jewellery is right, it's been pierced right. Just get a bit of advice on that front. But back to the initial aftercare, use your sterile saline sprays, and back to the 3 times a day. Actually, buy piercing pillows.
Oh, wow,
The
they
ear
exist?
cut. Yeah, there's a hole cut out in them that for your ear to sit in.
Wow, okay.
So
that's
that
cool.
it allows less pressure to be on the area. Now, you can't even use airport pillows, like shaped pillows.
Yes,
You
yeah.
use those. Anything just to allow your head not to have pressure on it. I've had people using pregnancy pillows, the big fucking long things that
Yeah.
So they're sitting with that, just resting for their neck, so that their ear is not
Yeah.
on the actual pillow. So there's many ways to just allow your ear to, or wherever, to better.
Yeah.
Another thing is, what side is your dominant side? Hit the piercings on the other side first.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good advice.
You're gonna be sleeping on it. Sleep on that side when it's fully healed,
Yeah.
or you can, even if you need to use the piercing pillow or whatever for sleeping on that side, even if it's not your dominant side, you might still find you need a pillow to sleep. So again, try and stick to getting more done on your less dominant sleep side.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Good
Once
advice.
that side's healed, then try and focus on the other side to kind of balance things out.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, what about like keloids? You said like piercing bumps and keloids are different.
yeah,
What are
keloids are excess scarring in the area. It's basically your body, in response to the piercing, tries to scar over the area of where you have put jewelry. This is where you're talking about it's slightly different than tattooing. You are trying to heal a foreign object inside your body.
Yeah, like around it. Yeah.
So sometimes some people's bodies' response to that is we need to produce scar tissue in that area,
Yeah.
and it will just put an excess amount. I think it's collagen is the
Correct term.
active, thing going on there, and it will produce too much of that in the area, trying to deal with it. Now, as long as the actual piercing hole or whatever isn't, if you do have an infection in the area, obviously get antibiotics from you. Now, by all means, again, you can come in, I can give a look over, but with keloids, I'm not going to be able to give the advice that's needed. It is medical,
Well, yeah.
in the medical field.
Talking about like infections, actually, like what are the early signs? And like, obviously, it's scary when it happens. Why does it happen? Like, tell us a lot more about how infections happen. And is it the piercer's fault?
Now, a piercer does everything they can to make sure that you are getting the most sterile environment. We are under environmental health. We do have to follow guidelines. We have sterilizing equipment like the autoclave and stuff like that, which need
Yeah.
to have.
Piercer takes every precaution
Yeah,
possible, from
yeah.
ultrasonic to
Yeah,
autoclave to sterile pouches.
Yes, everything
Yeah,
is
like to
down.
set up.
It is.
Yeah.
It is done to a T in a professional setting
Yeah.
to be.
Of course.
We
Or else you wouldn't get customers if you wasn't.
no. If you're not running a sterile environment, people are gonna get infections,
Yeah.
and you want to minimize every risk that there is anything being transferred to a customer.
Okay. So, why would an infection happen then?
Now, an infection is literally just where bacteria has gotten the area and has set in to your piercing while it's healing.
Oh,
So,
look at my new piercing.
Again, like I said, you have people who literally will walk straight over to the mirror and try and touch it,
Yeah.
and they've just been done.
But here, it's not their fault, is it? They got the infection.
It is wild, and then there's other people have come in and they're directly honest with me. They turn around and went, I do the
Cleaned
aftercare.
it
I
or
did it the
anything?
first 2 days, and then it kind of just sat there,
Wow.
and they just they just let it heal naturally. Some people don't use aftercare and have turned around and said all their piercings have healed fine, but they just try and literally they just try and leave it to its own devices, and that has worked for some people. I know from obviously working in a professional setting and everything, it is best to use a saline based solution to maintain sterility in the area. But obviously, you do get people who will follow their own advice over advice given,
of course,
because it's what they have always done, or it's always worked for them.
Yeah.
So it is something that the client is going to have to get control of their own healing process.
Well, would you say like an infection can come pretty much from anything? It could be just a wrong type of bacteria that enters a person and just kickstarts the whole thing.
Yeah,
and they could try like their best.
Your body's already dealing with the foreign object. It's already trying to heal. It is already sending the white blood cells to fight the area.
Of course, yeah.
So it's already in an active response against the piercing. When something else comes into the area, and especially if someone has got too many piercings.
Yeah.
Say someone's got 5 piercings or something.
Of course, it's just your like white blood cells are not equipped to handle that type of bacteria, and
it's like a war front.
Overrides.
If you don't have, if your soldiers are spread too far apart.
Yeah. And would you say that can come from like, not changing your bed pillow? Like say if you're driving your car and like, you've got your window down, dust comes in onto your piercings.
It could be something so silly like that. Now, it's still a small chance of something like that. Of course, down. But it's not saying it couldn't happen.
Exactly, yeah.
Especially bedclothes.
Yeah.
That is a big one.
Yeah.
You're sleeping in your bed, and if you haven't changed your bed sheets in, a while, there is bacteria in beds. It's, there's YouTube videos on how clean a bed can be.
Yeah.
You're sleeping on a pillow that hasn't been changed in ages.
Well, I mean, that's just a given. That's just hygiene,
Yeah, but it happens.
Well,
so there's so many factors to actually turn around and go, this is why.
Yeah. Well, what do you do when you do get an infection?
If you
just go to a doctor? Or?
Best thing you can do is go to a doctor. By all means, again, you can call in. I can give it a look over, see what it is. I am not a medical professional. I can't give you the advice that a doctor is going to give you to deal with that. Or definitely, if there is infection, obviously you can get blood tests and stuff that will read your infection levels in your blood and everything.
We can't do that. We're not
medical professionals.
Yeah.
So I can look at the area. I can see that it's weeping. It's got maybe yellowy, greeny sort of stuff built up on it. And you're like, yes, that looks like.
Or just take a photo of it and send it to us. Yeah.
But we look, I'm not going to be able to give great advice, but I can at least turn around and go.
Determine, go to a doctor or not.
Yeah. I can turn around and sort of go, that doesn't look like it's infected. There's irritation in the area. Or a wee bit of redness or something like that. But, have you been maintaining your aftercare? If you haven't, make sure to get back to it. Yeah. Get on track with it. It will recover.
What are the warning signs that you do have like a infection? Just so the viewers
there would be that kind of weeping of kind of that yellowy pus coming out of it. And yes, it will get more crusty than normal. But there is also those factors as well.
More swelling, just randomized kind of like.
You will, a bit more swelling in the area. And again, that's where if you downsize too early, you may end up dealing with embedding and stuff like that, which you don't want. I've had kids come in, they've ended up went to and got pierced with guns and.
Disclaimer. We need
some guns.
Yeah, stay away from guns. We'll censor that.
But
who does that?
So sorry, we can't name names.
We can't drop that.
That's my sister Claire. No, so I had people come in and they've been pierced with guns and we butterfly backs.
Yeah,
kids tend to play with earrings a lot, and even just during sleeping, butterfly backs are a nightmare. Imagine your ear is getting pressed against your head while you sleep.
It's getting tighter and tighter.
Slide up the bar.
Yeah.
And then once it slid up far enough, if it's only reaching the stage where swelling's about to start happening the first few, that has already been pushed up against the skin.
Yeah.
Start going around.
Oh, growing around it. Oh.
I had a kid come in and she came to me before going to A&E because she wanted just to check over because she knew it kind of was irritated in the back, but it looked like it was kind of just a scab, kind of just forming around the back. So she came in anyway, and the back of the earring was nearly at the.
Whoa!
It had actually pushed basically right
the whole way,
almost the whole way through. It would
wow.
what I had to actually do, basically get a hold with forceps, actual butterfly back, pulled the front out so that I could rotate the actual back sideways to then slide it out.
Wow.
But I still got her to go to the GP after and stuff
Yeah, to make sure
to get a look over. At least it was out.
Yeah.
It was dealt with, that there's nothing in there continuing to irritate. So at least I was able to help with that.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it looked like it needed a look over.
Yeah, medical attention.
Yeah, it was bad. And again, I was glad I was able to help. She didn't have to wait 14 hours in any to possibly get seen. At least you were able to help a bit on the progress to healing.
Well,
but
you said to avoid piercing guns.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, you are pushing basically a blunt object through your ear. It is blunt force trauma plain.
So not as sharp as a...
It's not as sharp as a needle. You are just, it's a pointed end, but it's not sharp.
It's not precise.
No. And then even at that, you're going to have to sleep with that point back of your ear. I've had people come in and they've got cuts on their neck.
Wow.
From sleeping, the lobe has been pushing against, so that sharp bit is still there at the back. So, it and it's not good. So yeah, the piercing gun. I'm seeing a lot of times people are had their pierced with guns. They've had cartilage pierced with guns. I had them come in with a rook was pierced with a gun. It's shocking to see.
Yeah.
And even going through cartilage with a blunt object, it's.
But what would it matter if where it is?
In there, it's too tight. It didn't go in properly. It wasn't pierced properly. I would use curved needle stuff for going to those areas because you're putting a curved bar in. You're putting in a curved barbell.
Yeah, so
you're gonna want the piercing hole to kind of to follow the the way through, and then the jewellery goes in after. So it needs to be done right.
And I heard piercing guns are mainly plastic, so you can't really autoclave them or else they'll melt.
But they're still being reused.
What?
Yeah, there's some places they'll just reuse the same guns.
Is that not HIV kind of problem there? Bloodborne pathogens and
but it's
I'm distraught.
Yeah, it's been done. Whether they've cleaned up their acts, whether their acts have been cleaned up in more recent years, but it has been done, and I'm seeing people still getting pierced noses and all sorts of stuff. And then the jewelry is usually not, made of a proper, type of metal. One that would be used in industry, implant.
Oh, so say if you had a nickel allergy.
A lot of times they're just using probably steel.
The worst case scenario, you get your cartilage pierced with a piercing gun, and you get hepatitis, and then on top of that, you get the jewelry that's
you're gonna end up having a reaction to it.
Your whole ear is just going to be cut off.
You'll see people come in and they've been pierced with guns and they've had them in for a while, and they might be healing sort of okay, but you can see the jewelry is already tarnishing.
Yeah,
the color of the jewelry is changing.
That's brutal. That's horrible.
There is stuff like that. You need to be using proper types of materials, whether you're using dark gold, niobium, PTFE. If you're going for plastic, it needs to be proper materials that are hypoallergenic. They're not going to cause reactions. They're good quality.
Yeah,
but even cartilage ones, when you are getting pierced with that, that can also lead to piercing bump as well, because with it being a blunt object pushing through, that's causing pressure. Imagine you nailing a big nail into a small piece of wood and split.
Oh, it cracks. Yeah,
you're just ramming.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
That's the way I thought of that the other day, and I was like, that's a good analogy for it.
Yeah,
you're putting. If you drill a hole into that same piece of wood and put a screw into it, it's not going to split. It's going to sit nicely in. It's going to be perfect. You don't possibly split the wood.
Exactly, yeah. So that
think of that in terms of it. You are pushing a blunt object through a harder, surface. So cartilage ones can lead to then piercing bumps because you're obviously having more pressure in the area, stuff like that. We used needles, and they carve the path for the jewellery to sit into. The needle is the same size as the jewellery. It's a snug fit, less likely for bleed. It's done right. It's the way it should be.
So, how would you chat to a customer that wants something that doesn't suit their body?
Oh,
that's a horrible one to approach that. Yeah.
The amount of times you'll get people in, they're looking navels, or
like a
things that is very anatomy dependent.
Yeah, like a tragus, navel.
If someone doesn't have a tragus, they don't have something that's more pronounced and hanging out of that part.
Yeah.
There's nothing there to pierce.
Yeah.
It's gonna reject. It's basically like a surface piercing going through just the skin there. It's not gonna last. It's just gonna reject. The amount of people I've even had come in and they've got traguses done and they've had to take it out because a couple of weeks later they're like, no, constantly.
But it wasn't you that did it.
Oh no. This is them coming in for advice because it was done somewhere else and it was just.
Well, when you say like navel, like how can you not pierce a navel?
Some people, if they have Audi, belly buttons, they don't have that elf to.
Oh, you need that lip to sort of pierce through.
You need that lip, and then even if they have the lip, depending on what way they're sitting, some people, if their belly button folds, there's no room for the bottom gem, so you would have to do a floating navel that has the flat back. That sits in the navel. So when that belly button closes, and they sit forward or stuff like that, no pressure on the jewellery because that flatback's in there. So they're able to still get a belly button done a bit differently. And they have the gem part on top, flatback sitting in, so the top bit. So again, there is ways around if you don't have anatomy standard. And there is other methods for the area. Now, people who have Audis, it's harder to find a way to pierce the area and they don't have anatomy for it. Now, there is other ways. It is working around what they have and knowing what you can do and get something that will last, whether it's in that area or if indeed.
You'll always get the nightmare client ones. Like it wasn't you that that did this, but I think it was Karma who had a group of people come in for piercings. It was all girls. They got their ears pierced. Like I think it was like like after school or whatever, their mum or whatever was listening. But everyone got their piercings, but it came to one girl and she was looking her navel done, like the belly button, and Carmen just looked at it and was like, we can't pierce you. I'm sorry that this would not work. And then she took so much offense. Like also she's a lovely person, Karma, and like she would try and put it as easy as possible to the customer. We're not going to turn around and be like, no, like there's no point doing this. You're not going to suit her or whatever. It wasn't like that.
It's not. You are not trying to cause any personal offense. You're trying to offer them the best experience for what they want. And if it's going to heal right, it's not going to heal right. You don't want that person with a scar.
Exactly.
If you gave them the advice and they choose to ignore it and go somewhere else to try and get it.
Well, that was a problem that we experienced. They messaged us, literally like the day after, and it was like, I'm not happy with the way, like, I was treated. I did. Everyone else got their piercings. I didn't. You told me like my body's not suitable for it. That's what way is that to speak to a young woman? And it's like, whoa, what's with the
you can sort of understand. You can kind of sympathize with them. You get it. It's disappointing coming in and someone turning around and saying you can't get something that everyone else just got, especially when you're younger and with friends and and they're all getting the same piercing and they were able to get it.
Yeah, well, we did give them the option to get something else, but they just refused it. So But that's the way we put it. Look, we sympathize with you. Unfortunately, if we did this, it will go really bad, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And if we didn't do it, then we're in the same boat here.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh no.
in no situation in this are we gonna come out on top. So we do apologize. We did offer.
Yeah.
Personal
No, it's even the same. I've had a few people come in for like septums and stuff like that, and they've had it like extremely deviated septums. And again, you're just like, you don't have the anatomy for it. I can't, I couldn't consciously do this piercing.
Yep.
And
of course, yeah. Well, what about studio hygiene and cleanliness when it comes to piercings? Now, this is touching more on the training ends of things, but it's good for our viewers to kind of like know how like a professional piercing studio should look. Should you decide to get a piercing in another shop, you know exactly
what you're looking out for.
What to look out for.
Yeah. Is this place dingy? Is it?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, if it's down a dark alleyway where it just looks dodgy, that's red flag 1.
Yeah. Sometimes if it looks dodgy, it is dodgy.
Yeah. Red flag 2. If they have like beer cans laying around, smells like a place they shouldn't be in, then don't be in there.
No, cleanliness and sterility are the main things I want to see around a place. Like, that is one thing I actually love, and honestly, a lot of clients love about this shop. It is designed in such a way that it feels welcoming, clean, tidy, neat. Just
safe.
A lovely place. Like, even my first time coming in, it was overwhelming how nice it was. It was a lovely shop to just walk into, even if you're just getting a coffee.
Yeah,
it was just lovely.
Well, that's
so and again,
it's in the name, love.
But again, it just having somewhere that is inviting, clean looking. Again,
well, it's not about all looking clean, make sure to have an autoclave, make sure to have a sterilization area.
Yeah,
like we have a whole room dedicated to sterilization. And just look out for all of the telltale signs in the piercing studio, just
make sure hardwood floors on the ground in the room that the piercings are happening because it is clean. It's easy to clean.
Look at the setup. Make sure to have the sterilization pouches.
Absolutely.
Make sure you're taking
each
the needle out.
That you're the specific ones that are going to be used on you. You are watching them be opened in front of you. They're not pre-set out that you haven't seen them come out of their sterile packets.
Exactly.
You want to be able to see that. As much as it's fiddly to do while there's a client in the room, and it makes them comfortable because they're going, "This guy's look at that. That's like a hospital. He's got the bloody gear all there in bags and everything. And you're opening each individual piece of jewellery all individually sterilized and
look around. Look around the room. Do they have all the extra wee bits and pieces? Like the dressings, like the face masks, so on. Make sure they have certificates on the walls
to make sure they've got something behind them. Whether it's infection prevention control, that means they know what they're doing when it comes to the transfer of bacteria. They're dealing with it. They know how to deal with it.
They took it upon themselves to research that in their own
absolutely.
time.
It's good to see it. Even though it looks like this is just.
And question them about the materials used as well. Is it titanium, surgical steel,
again, a lot of times when I'm dealing with that, that's all done at the desk when you're looking at the consent form. Because it'll say nickel in, like, have the allergies or anything like that. So you're able to have that conversation.
Or say, don't worry, like, everything that we use is titanium anyway.
Implant-grade titanium,
But how does it differ, like the titanium, surgical steel, and gold? What are the differences? Is there any?
It's more the purity of the material.
Yeah.
If you're using just normal steel, there is impurities in it. You have things like obviously different materials in it, like nickel and stuff like that. There's a chance of being in it, which then.
What about surgical steel? Is that different or the same? Or?
It is a different grade, but there is still a chance of impurities. So that is why I will always stick to implant grade titanium. It is just the best one, and it's more widely available and cheaper than things like gold, obviously.
Yeah.
And you are trying to balance out how much obviously a piercing's going to cost, as well as obviously the jewelry used. And again, you're going to want to stick to high quality, fine grade titanium.
Yeah.
Just to make
there's no point piercing with gold at the beginning because you do need a life for that swell and so on. So you can't change to like gold.
You choose the gold after it's healed. That's not a problem. And then you don't have to if you buy gold and it's a 10 mil bar.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to buy a 10 mil or 8 mil or 6 mil or whatever you're downsizing.
Spending more money for no reason, really.
To downsize, so it's best to start off with what a piercer would recommend. And then after any swelling and stuff, you once dealt with the healing, up to the jewelry you actually want in, because that's the end game.
Yeah.
But the initial healing, what you should be focusing on.
Well, we're starting to run out of time, but we'll blast through last wee bits and pieces just very quickly. And what's the difference between needles and cannulas and blades? We've talked about piercing guns.
Yeah.
I think it's important to talk about.
Oh, absolutely right. No, cannulas, they are the more advised one when you're talking about the safety aspect of things. Once you've put the cannula through, like that needle has gone through, say, a lobe, you're taking that needle out and it goes straight into a sharp spin. You're not dealing with a needle for the rest of your whole time, so you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, you're dealing with the cannula part of it.
You're less likely for needle stick injuries. So there is a safety aspect to using cannulas
for yourself. Yeah, not for the client.
Really, it is for yourself.
Yeah,
But you have to look out for yourself in this industry as well. Like you are dealing you're dealing with blood.
That's one of the main things we teach in the training.
Yeah,
for sure.
Bloodborne pathogens.
Of course.
We've done courses in bloodborne pathogens. You want to be avoiding
of course,
these things as much as possible. So again, with the blades then, you are putting the needle in through, and then you will have your jewellery, which has your insertion taper threaded in. That goes into the back, in through the sharp side of the needle, pulled back through the ear.
Yeah.
So that it places then jewellery in. So you're using the same size of needle, same size of jewellery, but the wee insertion taper is able to go into the hollow needle and pull back through.
So within needles, the blades, it causes less trauma, but it's riskier for the piercer.
Yes.
And should only realistically be used for more experienced and more confident piercers.
Yes, absolutely.
Whereas cannulas cause more trauma, but are safer.
I wouldn't say there's more trauma. There is a small 1 millimeter, or no, 0.1 of a millimeter difference.
0.1 of a millimeter.
Yeah, that is because your cannula, the needle is 1.2.
Yeah.
The cannula is 1.3.
Wow. So it's 0.1 of a millimeter. You can't even see that to the human eye.
That is the difference.
So why is that a difference? Why should that matter?
Now, again, this is where you there is a bit of, whether you want to call it gatekeeping, whatever you want to call it, you will get a lot of people in the industry who would say that, oh no, cannulas no. And they're like, oh, the pressure of the cannula will cause, like you're saying, trauma in the area. Now, I don't find that there is much more trauma in doing it with cannulas or...
So it's just down to piercer preference, really, then?
In my opinion, yes. It is down to, I would say... Matter? It is down to personal choice, how safe you want to be, personally, in doing it. Obviously, if you are very confident at piercing and you're able to use the needle with that confidence, you can use them. That's not a problem. But even if you are confident, you still use problem in using cannulas.
But basically, to summarize, both needles are better than guns.
Absolutely. Needles are better than guns no matter what way you look at this. But between blades and cannulas, they do a similar job. A cannula has slightly blunter needle because they're not designed, obviously, directly for piercing. So, there is that mild difference between them. But
Well, so we're down to our last 2 points. Hooray!
There we go.
So, I want to touch just more on the training and why we're offering it. For the tattoo training, I wanted to offer that as a better and easier way forward for people to get into the industry within reason. So we are, screening them, making sure it's, they're suitable for the career.
Yeah.
We're essentially doing the same thing with the piercing training, aren't we?
I've even seen, the way the tattoo, even the questionnaire for even joining the course.
Yeah.
Asks
like
what their motivations are. It's like what their motivations are. What drives them? How interested in this are they? You're trying to make sure that they themselves are ready to take this next step in.
Of course, it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
And
it isn't,
it's not just for piercing friends and family, we're not trying to...
we are trying to open up a door that feels like it has been closed on the industry. You want people to do things right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like myself, in the past, when I was starting off, didn't have the information. It wasn't readily available to just go, oh, I would love to, like that.
And that didn't stop you, so why would it not stop everyone else?
Yeah, but if they're going to be doing it, do it right, do it safe.
Exactly.
Know what you're doing. And you can then still progress, even though you're still a beginner, have at least something behind you that has got you to that next step in your journey. Whereas mine was all over the place when it started off, kind of just, building up over time. And it was good to do that. But if having a course to do would have made things so much better for me back then, I probably would have already been in the industry years. As in a full professional setting for probably years then, if I had already done it that way.
And the difference with us is that I've helped you out a lot with building this.
Yeah, no.
Of course, the amount of resources.
Everything.
Yeah, it's almost like a university course back then.
It is the amount. This has everything you need to start.
Yeah.
It has everything.
From resources, from consent forums to
accident report forums, hazards around the shop, everything.
Yeah, we even got the safety stickers.
This has everything to get you. If you decide to go in and start your own, if you go into a studio and ask them, or like a tattoo studio, don't have a piercing, right? You turn around and go, sounds like a corner of your room, and even just set up a wee small station where I can work from, and
yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that. It could be literally any other business within reason. And we actually touch on that as well.
And stuff that have piercers in it. Yeah. No, they're using guns, but
exactly.
There's nothing stopping those them using needles.
What's stopping you from going in there being like, hey, I'm better at this. They're messing people up.
I'd love to go into some shops and just go, is there any chance your staff would be interested in this? Just to progress what you're already doing here to the next level.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you have something behind you in here, to again get to that next stage. So even someone who's been, I've seen people who are piercing years apparently, and they're in places using guns. And okay, they've been piercing people for years.
It does not make a difference. It's all about the quality. It's about the right and wrong. Yeah.
There's a method, and it does need followed.
Yeah.
Again, like I've been saying, pretty much the whole bloody thing. You want your client to have the best experience possible. Can't get that from a gun.
Yeah. Well, talking about
America knows it.
Talking about the training. Let's talk about let's finish on this final sort of question. It's a bit taboo, but genital piercings. And training behind it, not widely available.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's anyone specifically does training on genital piercings.
Exactly.
There's nowhere really doing that.
You personally had to go out and...
I had to go out and find out from someone.
Yeah, I don't know whether we should mention it, because I'm sure he probably doesn't want too many people approaching him about that.
Same thing.
It was like, hey, could I get this?
But he is one of the top piercers
Yeah.
in the region.
I've been following him for years.
Yeah.
And he's
I
like
love
one of the most...
I love
well,
so down to earth.
yeah, he's a good guy. Like, yeah.
But yeah, I went down to him and I literally just messaged him on Facebook and Instagram, and he replied and was happy. I just asked him about. I just literally asked him, I'm interested just in general piercings and stuff like that, and yeah, he straight away was like, no, not a problem. Come on down, sure, and you can get into the studio and we can go over it, and I can and everything as as much as I know.
Yeah.
To kind of get you on the right track, and then from there you can progress. And he was like, "You got any more questions?" He was lovely about it. But no, he is great. I love him.
So, do you get many requests for genital piercing?
Not too many, to be honest. I've had a few. Like, I don't want to go into too.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, no, I have had a few. Then that have been interested in them and stuff. So again, it is something that.
And what's the difference between genital piercing? Is there any, or is it all?
It's in sort of similar terms, to be honest. I think it's because how taboo the area is that it just gets A, stigma, and B, you're working with an area that is private.
Yeah.
So it now obviously you're working with an area also with stimulus, and some of the piercings you are doing offer stimulus to the area. So there is that aspect of things that people you are dealing with an area that now I stick to certain areas that aren't going to cause damage to the area in terms of sensitivity.
Yeah.
Now some of them may enhance, but that's another story. But so again, some people come in for different reasons why they're getting it, whether it's simply for looks or other sensation, but because of the area taboo around it, I find that's mainly the taboo around it is mainly the drawback.
Yeah.
In terms of healing and stuff like that, it's not too bad. So
I mean, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't personally go there myself,
I did my own. I did my own.
Okay. Too much info for this podcast, Connor.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I mean, I have to practice somewhere as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I've done mine twice, and again, healing wise, it's a piercing. Treat it well,
sort of process.
Keep it clean. Yeah. It's it's same sort of process.
And obviously when it comes to different like genders as well, like say if a female wants a genital piercing with us, requests a female to be in the room present.
Absolutely, you can be more comfortable. They can take a friend and
bring a friend. Yes.
Absolutely,
yes.
You want them again. It's all about the experience.
Yeah,
you want them to be as comfortable as possible.
Exactly.
You want it to be a bit lighthearted, a bit of fun. You're trying to make sure that you have the right personality around the person that they're comfortable around. Feel safe in your building. They feel comfortable enough for you to do these piercings, and it just be
a good about building that trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now you'll get some people who come in and they have no they have no
expectation.
Or I can't think of the word. No,
social skills.
No, gone. They've like.
It's okay. Don't worry. I'll come back.
Basically, they have no shame in that area. They don't care about the taboo, and they are in for the crack. They don't.
Right. Yeah.
If someone comes in and they've got a great personality, even them, and if you have to give a good personality out.
Yep.
And most times it's it's mental. It's in if you're portraying a good persona to them, they're going to respond likewise. They're going to it eases that tension.
Yeah.
For any piercing, it doesn't matter what piercing. If you have to have that professional yet approachable.
Yeah.
Having that good experience,
they're walking away being like, I love that place.
Yeah, I've had people, and you hear them walking out the door going, he was lovely, and you've just pierced their nipples.
Yeah, it's like one of the most painful areas ever.
Now, that depends. Again, we were talking about pain levels.
Oh, I suppose person to person.
Person to person, but I find women with nipples less painful. If some of them are like, oh, 2. What about
Yeah,
that was 2 out of 10. Oh, that was grand.
That was
I got my left one was when my first one I got done was a 2, but my second one I got done was a 6. And then I got my own done both by 2 trainees at the same time, and I would have put it fucking like 11.
Yeah, I got one of mine done, and that was horrible.
I just clenched the lid.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
So again, yeah.
Well, just reading it back to
off track there.
Piercing training. Will we be offering genital piercing as training?
No, that will be something down the line that will
more advanced.
Yes,
it
will
more people
secondary kind of.
that.
Yes, yeah. I would class it as a secondary sort of thing to pick
additional,
up.
It's
too much. There's already a lot going on.
You don't want to overwhelm them.
Yes, you don't want to overwhelm them, and then because it's again, you've got the taboo area.
Yeah.
People used to already piercing before jumping to something more.
Exactly. It's more for experienced,
especially when it's a more personal area. You want to be experienced, already confident behind the needle to move on.
And I think would regulate that entry a lot more as well to make sure that they have the experience, make sure they are in the professional setting.
No. It would be more again.
They're ready.
Yes. They've already been doing piercings for a while, whether they're already in a studio or like MS or whatever way they've got themselves set up. Yeah. But that would be when sort of level up to that next stage of things. Because again,
cool. Well, I've pretty much covered everything I'm pretty sure there is to cover.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to mention?
No, I think we did cover pretty much most things there. We've went through anatomy, everything like that. We have covered pretty much. Most of it. Yeah. No. That was actually a good one. Right, I rolled off next.
Well, guys, thanks very much for tuning in for another episode. Next time, I think we'll be diving into more sort of customer orientated sort of podcasts and series. So stay tuned and sure give us a like and a follow. Come visit Connor for a piercing and maybe do our piercing training course. And thanks again for joining in and see you all next time.
Yeah, next time.
Woo!